Hello everyone, welcome to another MATLAB video. Today in this video we're going to be talking about indexing in MATLAB. So indexing is very special in MATLAB. It works in kind of a cool way, and it might be a little bit different than what you would expect. So you can see already in the command window I have a couple of vectors defined. So V is a vector just of ones, its length 20, so you can think of it as just 20 ones all in a row. W is this length 3 vector made up of the numbers 3, 6, and 7. And K is also length 3 vector with 10, 20, and 30. So what I'm going to show you first is something that might be a little bit surprising. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say V of W is equal to K. So maybe pause and think for a moment about what this is going to do. All right, so we hit enter. And we can start to think about, okay, well, what did this line of code do? So the way you want to think about this is we're saying, okay, V of W. So what that's saying is we go to W and we see the first number is 3. So that's saying go to the third position in V. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, this third one. That's going to be equal to the first entry of K. So the third number in V becomes 10, which is exactly what we see here. Then we go to the next one. The sixth entry of V becomes 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That becomes 20. And the seventh entry becomes 30, which we can see here. So again, just to recap, we passed V. We said V of W. So you can imagine this as passing it a list of indices. And we pass a list, or we set it equal to a list or a vector of the same length that tells us what we want to change them to. Good. Another thing we might do, so maybe you'll be surprised if this also works. We have V of W. So again, this is saying we're going to be looking at the third, sixth, and seventh entries of V. Let's set this equal to -9. So we can see here, you can imagine that this -9, we're just saying every entry that's kind of considered on the left just set equal to -9. So remember, this is the third, sixth, and seventh entries of V. So this becomes, the third becomes 9, the sixth becomes -9, the seventh becomes -9. So I've shown you a couple things that work. Let me now show you an example of something that doesn't work. So if I want to try V of W, let's say I do something like 2, 9. And maybe you can guess what the error is going to be. So the error here is, so in the case where we had V of W equal to K, remember I highlighted that W and K had the same length. So I know exactly how to pair up these numbers. The third entry becomes 10, the sixth 20, etc. And in the case where I just passed it one number, -9, it knew just to assign everything -9. But in this case here, it doesn't know what to pick for the third value. So it knows how to set the first two indices, 3 and 6, but nothing about the seventh. There's no pattern for it to recognize or anything like that in the case where it was just -9. So that's one example of where we are going to get an error. Let's do a little bit of a different example. So let's say I have a vector Z. Let's say it starts at 0, goes up by 2, ends at 100. And what if I wanted to delete every third entry of Z? So delete every third entry of Z. How would I do that? What I can do is I can say, okay, Z of, start at the third entry, go up by 3, and remember the keyword end, go to the end of Z, and this is going to be equal to, this is a good reminder from the last video, the empty vector, which tells us to delete the element. So we can see here, let's compare it with Z originally. So the third entry was 4, so that should be deleted. So now we have 0, 2, 4 is gone, 6, 8, 10 is gone, and so on. Last kind of section of this video is let's look at two-dimensional vectors, or like arrays, matrices. So let's say A is equal to 1s. Let's make a 3 by 5 array. And we've talked about this before, but just a good reminder. So if I want to change a specific element, I do rows, columns. So let's say I want to go to the second row, fourth column, and let's set this equal to -3. So we can say, okay, here's second row, fourth column, and we set it equal to -3. What if I wanted to change the entire fourth column to -3 though? So not just this entry here, but both of these. So one way that I could do that is I could say A of, so I want to change this for every row, right? So it's going to be this first row, second row, third row. So I can say 1, start at 1, go to the end, and I want to change the fourth column, so 4, I want this to be equal to, let's pick a different number just so we can see the difference. Let's say -2. So you can see here, I changed the first row, fourth column, second row, fourth column, third row, fourth column. And there's an even easier way to do this. So this 1:end notation, there's a very nice abbreviation for it. I can just write a colon and then comma 4. So this colon takes the place of 1 to end. It's a very nice abbreviation. And let's now set it equal to -5 just so we can see the difference. So we can see now functionally these two lines of code worked exactly the same, except we changed it to -5 instead of -2. What if I wanted to change the entire third row? So in this case, I want to specify third row, change every column of the third row. So the way we can do that is I can say 3, comma, I could do 1 to end like before. Let's set this maybe equal to, I don't know, let's say 20. And remember the abbreviation for 1 to end. This is going to be the same as saying 3, comma, colon, and let's just keep it equal to 20. So that's going to work exactly the same as we expected. Very last thing I want to show you in this video is what happens if I do something like A of 10. So A of 10 in this case is -5, and let me show you how MATLAB counts in this case. So it's going to be a little bit strange, but in the next video we'll see how this counting style can be actually pretty useful. So it starts going down columns. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's this down columns up like this. So it goes down column, down column, down column, down column. Again, in the next video, we'll see how this can be useful, and we'll get a little bit more practice with this specific type of indexing. Otherwise, thank you for watching and for your attention, and I will see you in the next video.